Wuby. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about something I've been getting a lot of questions about, which is how do you grow long natural hair? A lot of people struggle with this. They say, oh, I've been growing my hair for this length of time. I've been growing my hair for 4 years, 5 years, and it seems like it's stuck in one length. I've not been able to get past it. So how do you grow yours? My hair is about 3 years old. It will be 3 years old in March, precisely 22nd of March, because it was in 2018 that I cut my hair. So I've been growing this out for almost 3 years now. And let me show you. It's this long. Yeah, so let's get to it. How can you also grow your hair to be this long in a certain amount of time? First of all, let's establish that growth rates are different for different individuals. One person could grow hair faster than some other person, and they could have the same factors like the same diet, the same products, all of that, and their growth rate will be different. So why is that? Most times it's genetics. There's a genetic factor to it. Some people genetically are more disposed to growing more hair than others, but on the average growth rate is about half an inch a month. Half an inch, I don't know, it's about this much. And for most people, that's the average. For the average means like most people, yes. So, but there are people who could grow maybe slightly less than average, and there are people who could grow slightly more than average. Either way, um, what you need to focus on is your own growth rate is predetermined. There's hardly much you can do about it. So what you can do is to make sure that your hair is growing healthy from the inside and you're maintaining the hair as it grows outside. So the first part is eating right. You have to make sure you're getting the right amount of minerals, vitamins, that your diet is healthy. So eat a lot of greens, eat a lot of nuts and seeds, eat a lot of fish. Fish has omega-3 acids, and they're really great for your hair. Eat a lot of lean protein as well, because this is keratin mostly, so hair is protein. If you're protein deficient, it's going to show on your hair. Look at people who are, say, malnourished or having certain health problems that affect their digestion or their absorption of nutrients. The first place you're going to see it is their hair. Either it's falling out or the color changes, it gets unhealthy. The logic is that your body treats your hair as something you can survive without, really. You don't need your hair to survive. So if you're down on nutrients, the body will concentrate on feeding your organs, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, things that need those nutrients to function, things that you cannot survive without. Your hair you can survive without. So the body is designed to prioritize. So if you're not getting enough, your hair would suffer for it, will get neglected. So that's why you have to eat right. You also have to get a lot of rest, sleep well, exercise as much as you can, and also drink lots of water. I can't emphasize this one enough. A lot of water, because it's water that helps your circulation, and if you're not getting enough blood flow to your hair follicles, they're going to die out and they're going to start falling off, and then you just notice your hair getting thinner and thinner. You'll be like, oh, what's going on? You're not drinking water. That's what. So that's on the inside. Externally, so yeah, you've done all this good stuff, your hair is growing out. What do I do to maintain the hair I have grown out? First of all, cleanse your hair and concentrate on your scalp. I cannot even emphasize this one enough. Your scalp is like the soil where your hair grows from. So if you have bad soil, it translates to bad hair or bad crops if you're looking at from the soil perspective. So yeah, you need to take care of your scalp. Clarify with a good clarifying shampoo. Not too often though, because those could be a bit drying, but do it such that when you've maybe like I do mine every 2 months, in case you have product buildup over time. Then use a nice sulfate-free moisturizing shampoo. So why I said to use a sulfate-free shampoo is because sulfates dry out your hair. If you use sulfate-based shampoos, your strands are going to be extremely dry, and dryness equates breakage. So even though you're doing all the right stuff and your hair is growing out, it's going to be breaking a lot. So you would not be achieving anything anyway. So you have to make sure that the shampoos you're using are the right ones. Look out for them. If they're sulfate free, they'll usually state it out on the product. It will say, okay, sulfate free. So use that. And also, the method of cleansing your scalp is very important. Our hair strands are fragile, very fragile. One strand is, look at it, very, very fragile. So you need to make sure that you're not using your nails to rip through it. Those people that go to the salon like H. That's not good. You just need to use the pads of your fingers like this and massage your scalp. It will loosen up the dirt, and then you rinse it out. It's not supposed to be, very difficult. Just massage, massage, massage. You can put some pressure, of course, but not too much. Don't scratch through it, because you're going to just be ripping out your hair. Then also, we're going to talk about the fact that you have to moisturize. The peculiar thing about Afro textured hair is that it's prone to dryness a lot. It gets dry super easily. The reason is, you know how your scalp would naturally secrete sebum, which helps to moisturize your strands. But if your hair was straight, it will just run down. But Afro hair is kinky, so your scalp and maybe the hairs closest to it might be moisturized. But especially with longer hair, as you go down, it tends to get dry. So you have to put in the effort to moisturize the rest of your hair. I'm going to do a moisture routine, and you'll see how you can do that effectively. Make sure your hair is getting sufficient moisture, and you're not neglecting your ends, because these are the most vulnerable part. Like I explained, if all of this gets, this part is very far away from the scalp, so it's easy for your ends to keep breaking off, and then you're not going to see any growth even if you're using the right stuff and doing all the right things. The next point is to use the right products. That's supposed to be common knowledge. You should know that one. Use the right stuff. Why would you want to use products that are dangerous, that contain all sorts of harmful chemicals, and you expect good results? How would that work out? Make sure that your products are as natural as possible. Make sure that you're not using things that have a lot of allergens. And pay attention, really pay attention. When you use something that your hair likes, you would know, you will feel the difference. You feel like, oh yeah, this stuff is really moisturizing. Oh yeah, my hair feels better, the texture, all of that stuff. So if you're not paying attention to your hair, even when you're using something that's not good for you, you might not be able to tell. And it's important we note, because I notice in the natural hair community, once someone says, oh, this stuff is good for me, everybody jumps on it like, oh yeah, so it has to be good for me too. That's not true. Our textures are different, our porosities different, curl patterns are different. So that means something might work for one person and will not work so much for the next person. So that's why you pay attention. You make sure what you're using is good for you, for your own hair. Forget what any person. I mean, you could try them out to see, oh, does it actually work for me? But don't be too disappointed if it doesn't, because that can happen. That's totally normal. That's the point I'm making. And then, which brings me to protective styling. Please put your hair in protective styles. Don't just, I mean, this is cute and everything, but when you go out and stuff, try to make sure, especially during bedtime, tuck your hair away before you go to sleep. Don't just squash in and sleep on your afro. You're going to just have a mess of tangles, and when you try to take out those tangles, you're going to break a lot of your hair off if you're not careful. So the best thing is to put your hair in protective styles. Twists, braids, roll and tucks, updos, even just a nice bun. The whole point of protective styling is that you don't manipulate your hair as much as you would if your hair was just free. And I should point out that if you're doing a protective style, please be gentle, because if you're doing it wrong, you're just going to cause more damage to your hair. It's not going to be protective at all. If you're putting your hair in a protective style, try to be gentle. Don't make styles that are too tight, because that's going to inflame your scalp. And if your scalp is inflamed, obviously it's going to affect your hair follicles, so it might pull out and stuff. That's how people get alopecia, and that's how you see people with their edges receding. That's what happens. They make their styles too tight. So if you go to a stylist and they're getting your hair done, if you feel it's getting too tight, say something. Say, oh no, don't make my hair that tight. Hold it. Your hair doesn't have to be tight to be beautiful, anyways. I don't know where we got that myth from, but it's not true. Also, please make sure that your protective styles are actually protecting your hair. There are some styles that are not protective at all. Those styles, they just damage your hair. Styles where you have to sew your hair, they don't work with natural hair. In my experience, maybe some people have figured out a way to do it that does not damage your hair. I haven't. It breaks my hair out. So I stopped, and that's how I've been able to grow my hair out. Don't do anything that snags your ends. Don't do anything that the blend with your hair is so much that when you're trying to take it out, the extensions and your hair are inseparable, and it just pulls your hair with it. So you have to be careful. Pick the right extensions. Make sure your stylist knows what they're doing, and you're not making it too tight. Just be super gentle. Basically, our hair is fragile, so everything you're doing, you have to be gentle with it. And because your hair, a lot of people are guilty of this one, because your hair is in a protective style, doesn't mean you don't have to moisturize it. So you make your hair all nice and clean, and you've washed your scalp, maybe you've deep conditioned, and then you put in braids. Then you hands off for 1 month. Why? How can you expect your hair to thrive in that condition? First of all, your scalp is skin. You can't keep the rest of your skin for 1 month without doing anything. Why do you think your scalp should be neglected for that long? No moisture, no water, no leave-in conditioners, nothing. You just, because you put it in a braid, so you feel you don't have to do anything. That's wrong. There are ways to moisturize your hair, even in protective styles. You should make sure that your hair is still healthy in there. The whole point is protecting your hair. Your hair is the precious cargo. Extensions are just something you use to protect the precious cargo. So don't lose sight of which one is more important. And when you've carried your styles for, don't stretch them unreasonably long. While it's good to make your styles a bit more long term, because of course less manipulation, don't overdo it. Why are you carrying your hair for months and months and months on end, and you're expecting that when you take that out you're not going to lose so much hair? Because breakage, tangles, you're not getting enough moisture into the strands, etc., etc. So try to keep it at a decent level. 1 month maybe. You can there's some styles you can wash in between. Try to also moisturize, and make sure you deep condition before you put in your protective style, so that your hair has maximum moisture right before the protective style. The next point I'm going to raise is deep conditioning. So deep conditioning is different from your regular conditioning, because it's not just putting on a conditioner for like maybe 3-5 minutes and you rinse it out. You have to usually you use more penetrative products. You're going to cover your hair with a shower cap, and then you're going to either go under a dry or a wet steam. So what that does is it opens up your hair strands to absorb maximum moisture. When that happens and the moisture is locked in, it's going to stay for much longer, so you can go a longer period of time without your hair quickly drying out, as opposed to just regular conditioning. So try to get moisture treatment. There are tons of moisture treatments. The treatments that are based on natural products, that you don't really have to, it must not be store-bought. You can just mix and match stuff. There are a lot of them. You can do research on that, and you can use them to moisturize your hair. There are also really, really nice protein treatments also that you can do. The difference is the protein treatments kind of fortify your strands, because like I said, hair is protein. So you're just adding extra, giving it basically what it's made of, to like help deal with cracks and tears and stuff like that, so that it stays healthy. Basically just giving your hair like a hand here and there when it needs help. Moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. If you live in countries that are really dry, or you have months in the year where it gets super dry, expect to moisturize twice as much those months, because your hair will get dry faster than it normally would on the months where you don't have so much dryness going on. And another thing I'm going to point out is split ends. So this is a tricky one because a lot of people think, oh, if I have split ends, I'm just going to, they hold on to length tenaciously. Sis, let it go. If your hair is split, trim it. Don't try to hold on to damaged hair. Trim, trim, trim. If you notice, because if your hair starts to split and you don't trim it the moment you notice it, the split is just going to keep traveling up the hair shaft. So it's just like a strand that is healthy and then it splits a little at the bottom. If you take it out, you save the rest of it. But if you don't, it keeps going until it damages the whole of that strand. And if you have several, that means you're going to damage a lot of your hair over time, and you now notice that your hair has become very scanty, much shorter, etc. So once you see split ends, grab your shears and get rid of them right away. Trimming, for some people, they feel like, oh, if I'm trying to grow my hair long, why am I trimming my hair? Because if you don't, you're just going to stall your growth even much longer. I know you want to grow your hair long, but trust me, something has to give. If it split ends, get rid of it. There is no way to say, oh, you're going to reverse it. The only solution is to trim it. So you can go to a professional to help you do that, because you don't want your hair coming out uneven when you trim it. So the last thing I'm going to raise as regards product is use alcohol-free gels. The reason is simple, really. If you use gels that are drying, they're just going to make your hair crunchy and dry, and your hair will break out. So if you're trying to keep your hair from breaking, because that's the only way you're going to retain length, then you don't need something that will dry your hair out. And one of the major culprits are like styling products like gels, etc. They can contain alcohol just to give it that hold, but the problem with that hold is that it also interprets to breakage, and you don't want that. Finally, be patient and be consistent. I can't emphasize. Don't expect it to happen like overnight. Oh, I'm just gonna do this thing for 1 week and then Rapunzel. It's not going to happen. Make sure that you're consistent. Do it for long enough if you really want results, and do it the right way, consistently. Just take your mind off it. Just know you're doing the right thing. And be patient. Don't obsessively check your length. There are people like, oh, every 2 days they want to go see how long has it gotten? Have I grown some? No, don't do that. You're just going to frustrate yourself, and you're going to believe your hair's not growing when it actually is, but you're obsessively checking it. So just patience, patience, patience. I hope these tips help you to make your hair journey much easier. If you have questions, suggestions, something you'd like to say in subsequent videos, please drop a comment in the comment box. And till I come again next time, bye.